What is up, entrepreneurs? Welcome to Entree Woman TV. My name is Diana, your hostess with the mostess. And on this video, we're going to be talking about the new Fuji XT4 that just released, Canon's new R5 announcement, and what that really means for us as entrepreneurs, content creators. We have invested in cameras like the Canon M50, maybe the Sony A6400 that I'm using right now. Are these cameras getting too old? Are they still what we need? And even if those price points are out of budget for us, or we kind of want to add something to what we're already using, how are these cameras going to affect us and our buying options, and just see what's going on with the specs on these new cameras. So we're going to be talking about that coming up in today's video. I'm pumped to talk about it. All right, guys, so welcome back to Entree Woman TV. Whether you're watching this live or on the replay, thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and attention. So today I want to talk about what's going on with the Fuji XT4. Really cool camera that Fuji recently announced when Fuji dropped the XT3 a little over a year and a half ago. Completely disrupted the camera industry because you have brands like Canon, you have brands like Sony dropping cameras that kind of, it's like either it is the do-all camera for one specific use, maybe for vlogging, maybe for photography. Then we have these hybrid cameras that are pretty good for both. For my channel, I specifically focus on the video specs mostly because for the most part, the photography side of things is amazing no matter what camera that you get within the last few years or even a little bit longer. But for our purposes, you're creating videos for your company, for your business. You want to do some live streams and stuff like this. You don't want to maybe buy a whole bunch of cameras. And maybe you have a camera, like I did a ton of videos on the Canon M50, and it just is like, kind of get tired of doing hacks. You want it to just work right out of the box. So whereas I needed Ecamm Live so I could just hook this in via USB, now some of these cameras that are coming out now are really good. So if you want to upgrade your camera, I actually just did a video that I'll link up above when it's ready. It's not edited yet, but I just recorded it before we went live today about how to buy a used camera and used lenses safely online without getting ripped off, but getting like new quality. And so I think for a lot of these cameras that are coming out now, maybe it's not the camera that we want. Price point isn't quite what we want. Has the features and is obviously you love the newest thing, but at the same time, it's just like I would prefer to have maybe the next model up of whatever. So the A6600 came out for Sony, and they're potentially, well, not even potentially, we know that they're going to drop the Sony A7 IV. Well, if you don't want that camera, it's just like the camera that you do want or that is kind of in that price point will start to come on the used market and things like that, and it'd be really cool and things to buy. So we'll talk about that as we go on throughout the stream. But one of the things I really want to dive into is the specs for this new Fuji camera. Fuji did the thing that everybody was waiting for. They just went ahead and added this beautiful, simple, elegant flip out screen, which everybody says is like for vlogging, but it honestly just makes videography work and stuff like that really cool. If you have your camera sitting over here to do an interview, you can flip your screen back around and you can still see it. Well, with a flip up screen, you can't really do that. And then they have some weird screens that they were doing from before that kind of tilt. So I don't know, it's kind of like this unspoken war between, or it's pretty well known between photographers and videographers and just people that want to vlog. So the Fuji XT4 is going to be an amazing vlogging camera, but the M50 is not it. Let's hop over to bnhphotovideo.com and not sponsored, hashtag not sponsored. Yeah, we got somebody in the comments. What's up? So we got Positive Squad. I love that name. Every world needs more positivity. Said, just love the way you always explain. Thanks and great job. Thank you so much, Positive Squad. I love that name. Super dope. Curious to check out your channel, so I have to do that after the stream. So we are going to hop over to, and y'all let me know we're trying something new. A little background music. Okay, vibing. All right, so we can turn it down if we need to, but I try to keep it low. So we'll see. So let's hop over to B&H Photo. You can track along with me. They have the Fuji XT4. Now this is coming in at $1,699. $1,700, not bad. The thing is that they're XT3, like I said, a little bit of a disruptor with the camera when they dropped it. It didn't have the IBIS or the IBIS that you'll see in there, which is the image stabilization, which this one does. And so everybody really wants that because they don't want shaky footage. They want to be able to get their niece or nephew or whomever to be a D-Rock, capture some videos for their business. It just helps with the flexibility and creativity. And so now this one has it, and everybody is pumped and excited about it. And I'm not gonna lie, I am too. So we got this here, and it has this kind of aesthetic and design, like the dials on the top are old school-ish. So you can change those settings in real time. I personally don't like that, but I get that people that love that old aesthetic of the film cameras, Fuji is great with mimicking that or just continuing that kind of a thing. But for a digital camera, I kind of want a digital system button-wise. But other than that, I guess if you can get past that, I just can't. I don't know why, but I can't get past that. But if you can, it's a phenomenal freaking camera. You got a little joystick on there. It is a touch screen. Like I said, it's just the little dials. That's it. No big deal. But it is kind of for me. But that's neither here nor there. Flip out, fully articulating screen. We have also on here, they don't have that door open. Let's see if I can get these to load up fairly quickly. But Fuji does something that's really, really cool. They do something where you can take a USB-C cable, plug that into the port, because the camera can also charge internally, which is amazing, and run off a battery. So that's why I love like my Sony a6400, especially like versus the M50 in that regard, because I can literally put a little battery bank in my pocket or in my bag or whatever, and while I'm sitting having lunch in the middle of a vlog and just top off my battery or something like that. So this one, we were talking about the side door, if they have one where it's open. If they, do they have one? I don't know. Well, if you find any pictures online, because I don't know why they don't have that. It's just kind of weird, honestly. Either way, it's pretty cool because you can take a USB-C, plug that in with like a headphone adapter, kind of like put you in that same mindset like Sony, not Sony, that iPhone has for the headphone jack. And so you can have a headphone jack in addition to the microphone jack. So that's basically the gist of all I was saying here with this. So let's get off of this. Let's get into the specs for real. Because pictures is nice, but let's see what the camera can really do. And so I'm primarily going to focus on the video specs again, because the photography specs are nice, but at the same time, it's kind of like, it's always good. You know, it's like you don't really have to worry about it. So if that's something that that's important to you, again, you can hop over to bnhphotovideo.com and check out those specs that are specific to you. So let's get down past all of this stuff. Video. So this is the section that I care about. So we have 4K video at 24 frames per second, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, and the bit rate is pretty good as well. That's something that honestly people complain about the Sony cameras about, saying that they don't have high enough bit rate, because it's not just like it being 4K 60 or 1080p whatever, but the fact that the amount of data that's going into that file is really good. And then also too, that's where you saw people saying like, man, even though the Canon R, the Canon RP, it doesn't have like a whole bunch of specs, it looks really nice because that bit depth, or the amount of information going into the files, even though maybe it is just quote unquote 1080p or whatever, is pretty good. So between 100 and 400 is really good. I think the A6400 caps out at 100 megabits per second, which is what this is. And then like the M50, surprisingly, the 4K is like 400 megabits per second or something crazy like that. So otherwise, really good video quality. Also, again, you have 480, or not 480, but 4K, a little bit of a smaller one. You have these like 496 or the 3840. Either way, it's still 4K quality, 24, 30, and 60 frames per second. So this is one of the few cameras out there under $2,000 that's really, really like hitting a home run with all the things that are most important to most creators. And honestly, it's like, even if these specs is like, I don't need 4K 60, I don't need 4K, blah, blah, blah. It's not about what you're using right now. It's about having options. It's like if your TV didn't have all the ports and the HDMI stuff connected to it because you were still using that red, white, and yellow cable, the RCA cables, and then the Fire Sticks come out. Well, what if your TV didn't have HDMI? Now you got to do something different or buy a new thing. So same thing with cameras. I'd rather for it to be there and not use it than to want to use it and try it out or experiment, or maybe you got a softball game for your kids and you really want to get high quality slow motion, or like some parents now, your kids are not getting scholarships because they don't have a good enough video reel. And honestly, this is stuff you can do yourself. So I think it's pretty cool. So this is something that's really interesting as well with the 1080p. Oh, you also have 2K in here, which is pretty cool. So it's nice to have it in between, a little bit higher quality, not necessarily stuck at 4K or just 1080, but something in between. So 2K actually looks really nice. So you have 24 frames per second again, 30 frames per second, 60 frames per second, 120 frames per second, and 240 frames per second. So again, just Fuji knocking it out of the park with the specifications on this camera, anywhere from 50 to 200 megabits per second. These video files are going to be amazing. What we're seeing right now at the time of the recording of this video is we're finding that a lot of the brands are, or not brands, but companies and YouTubers and stuff, the brand Fuji, when they sit the cameras out, it's kind of like a pre-production model, not quite ready yet. So we kind of got to wait a little bit before we see like the for real magnitude of this video quality. So 10-bit, which is basically most cameras, M50, A6400, even A6600 or whatever, A7 III, kind of doesn't matter, pick any of them, have mostly 8-bit, and you need maybe an external recorder, and then something like the Nikon Z6 will give you 10-bit. Basically, it's more color information. Imagine if there was only a couple colors that the camera could identify. You know, you could say that that's like 8-bit, or so many, you know, variations of a color within the color spectrum. And then you add in 10-bit, and this is a very simplified, probably not, you know, completely correct or whatever, but just to give you an idea of why that matters. Again, you start adding in bit depth, more, like from 8-bit to 10-bit, just more of it, more colors, a broader spectrum, really rich, really nice colors, higher quality. So a lot of people have been asking for this. And so you can get 10-bit at 4K externally. So you probably get like that Atomos Ninja 5 or something like that. So that's pretty cool. Now here's the stab in the throat, in the knee, okay, the kick 'em while you're already down kind of feeling with Fuji. And for sure, for me, it is the 30-minute recording limit. They are the only people I know, modern day camera company, dropping cameras with like 15-minute recording limit if you are at this setting, this and such recording limit at that setting. For a time, you needed 30-minute recording limits because it was like some tariff or tax or whatever. And, you know, the only people that was paying it was Panasonic for real. It's just like, yeah, most of all our cameras, no recording limit, which is why I went for the Sony A6400. Because I can take and do a long video. I may not use everything in between. I don't have to worry about stopping and starting the recordings. Do a video like I was doing before, a full breakdown of how to buy a used camera safely online for entrepreneurs. And that video file was like 40 minutes. Maybe I'll be able to cut that down into 20, cut any mistakes, any retakes out, and stuff like that. But if I had to do that with my M50, I could be on a roll and talking and finally find my vibe and just like gelling or whatever. And then hit that 30 minutes. If I'm not being consciously aware, I'm stuck. Now I got to start over. Or it's like, dag, what did I just say? Or dag, that was good. What did I just say? So Fuji got a 30-minute recording limit. That's across the board for everything. Unfortunately, in this camera, not a huge deal for people. But again, it's better to have it, even if it's just those extra 9 minutes. Like I said, that video file was like 39 minutes today. Better to have it and not need it a whole lot than to have to hack or you know, something like that. Spend an extra few $100s or what have you. Now, here's something that's interesting that they're not really talking about for real. And then I'll hop over, check the chat, and then we'll hop over to some of the R5 specs, because Canon did announce that. So I'm kind of glad to have been wrong. In my last stream talking about the room, it's like, Canon's not going to do it. They ain't going to drop that kind of camera. And sure enough, oh boy. So it's going to be a very interesting year. And then I'm going to wrap it up with just kind of how that's going to affect us. So Fuji is now saying their autofocus is pretty gosh darn good. Basically, they're now claiming, I guess, to have the faster autofocus comparative to, I guess, Sony. Sony would be the leader in the autofocus. So let's check over to the chat real quick. And let me see here. Where'd my stuff go? Oh, here we go. So with that being said, I am curious if, okay, cool, no comments. I am curious though, just how good it is, because that was one of the things when I looked at Fuji, was just like, dag, is it, it's like, are you going to have problems with the autofocus? Is it kind of going to follow you? And then I talk with a lot of hand gestures. So if I didn't have this microphone here, just like moving my hands a lot. On the Sony camera, I can see the box around my face. It's not pulsating and jumping a whole bunch on the sides or warping over here in the corners. You'll see with the autofocus and the not really. That's not an autofocus thing all the time. Stabilization thing. So you'll see like a bunch of bouncing in the corners. It just gets to be weird. We don't want that kind of stuff, because it's like you had a good take, and now the corners look all crazy, or the autofocus jump to the back. And so even though it's not bad autofocus, it's all about reliability, dependability, and Canon is known for that. And Sony is just like leading right now. So they're saying technically for Fuji for this X-T4, basically it is crushing everybody's stuff. So it's yet to be seen until we get a production model out in the field, which unfortunately, hopefully nobody here is affected by the coronavirus, or you're in an area that is like maybe like more or less a hot zone or some sort. So really praying for the people over there that are having to deal with that. It's super, super unfortunate thing. So let's jump up to the Canon R5, and we'll jump to that. Let's see here. All right, so this is just like, again, from CanonRumors.com, some of the specifications that they dropped. Now, Canon made an announcement saying that they're in the development of making this camera. Again, with the coronavirus, it's really going to impact all of the different companies, because they can't process it if people can't get to work, or it's like something like this outbreak is happening. Unfortunately, it's like it sucks, because everything's going to have to slow down, which is why we just saw the announcements, like they canceled some of these camera shows, and you just saw them just go ahead and announce the camera, because like, well, we can't wait till this camera show. There's no such things. So here was the rumor specs as of February 21st of what this person that was saying about the Canon R5 was announced. And I think the ones in bold are the ones that are confirmed, and then the other ones have yet to be seen. And so we have 5 stops of, this is that IBIS image stabilization, which honestly, the digital stabilization in something like the M50 with just the little digital stabilization in the camera, and then in the lens having stabilization, honestly is tell you a secret, it's better than the Sony A6600 that has the IBIS in it, better than the Sony A7 III. I mean, if it's something to be said, Sony really needs to work on their image stabilization. You could put lens stabilization on there. They don't have a digital thing that they put in their cameras. They do for like their action cameras. That's amazing, but Sony gonna have to step it up. Firmware updates, I don't know. Build better things, who knows? But they're saying it's gonna be 5 stops. The Fuji XT4 is saying to have 6.5 stops, which is just like, honestly, you're starting to look at that GH5, or not even the GH5 per se, but just Panasonic territory. And then the grandmaster of it all for stabilization is Olympus. So 7 to 8 stops of correction when used within lens stabilization. So once you put a lens on there that has some stabilization built into the lens, then it's going to get even better, essentially. So I'm floored that this was even announced, honestly, that it's real. We don't know how 8K is going to be cropped, or how it's going to be available, how many minutes it's going to be available, because we have to consider overheating. I honestly think the Canon bodies, the Nikon bodies seem fine size-wise, but I think Panasonic has kind of got it together as far as size of a camera to produce long-term video form for like 8K, 6K, 4K, you know what I'm saying, like for an extended period of time. Now, Sony got their stuff figured out for, that's why I love this camera. You can run it for days. The M50 is honestly capable of it, but they, mess it up, but there's neither here nor there. Pretty fast camera, good for photography stuff. Dual card slots, which the Fuji XT4 also has, and it's going to be pretty fast, so it's going to look pretty gosh darn good. No touch bar, thank you, because it doesn't look like nobody liked that thing. When I tried it, it was just like, yeah, no. So live view movie toggle like previous EOS DSLRs, basically a switch to go, I want to go all into the photo settings or I want to go all into the video settings. And that's relevant because even if, like, I primarily do video, but sometimes I do want to take photos or you got to take thumbnails or whatever. When it comes to that, it's like if you have your settings dialed in for video, you got your white balance set and all that. When you have to now change the dial, but the settings stay the same, it screws you up because now you have to remember what the settings were. Or like one of the hidden features was like a video I wanted to do. I'll probably have to record that sometime later this week. Was like one of the hidden features, like with Sony, is like the memory recall. And so you have like custom dials. The M50 unfortunately doesn't have one. Like customized dials on there is like C1, C2, or M1 or M2. But Sony has like, you can get up to like 6, where it just remembers all the settings, no matter if it was photo or video or whatever. And I love it because when I go into a shoot, I can just say like, okay, this is what it is for the inside shot. This is what the settings should be for the outside shot. Set the white balance accordingly. And I don't have to worry about remembering the settings or adjusting for stuff. So being able to just have where you can designate video versus photo stuff, keep your settings the same, will save a lot of headache on that. Larger capacity battery, which the XT4 also has a brand new battery actually, so we're looking at probably double the life. And then here is like the Grandmaster video specs in a mirrorless camera to date. I'm not counting the 1DX Mark III that they have because it's like that thing is a freaking truck. It's a truck. It's exactly what it is. And so we have 8K 30 frames per second. Unheard of. Unheard of in a mirrorless camera other than like, unless you're going to do cinema. 4K 120 frames per second. Nice. So built-in 5 gigahertz Wi-Fi, much stronger signal. Really, really cool. New battery, which you would definitely need because those 8K files are going to be redonkulous. We can probably see memory cards. New memory cards coming out, not just like the Sony Tough cards, but if you've never recorded in 4K video for an extended period of time, oh my gosh, the file sizes. I just finished like a video shoot, some 4K, some 1080p 3 camera shoot. Let me tell you something. The storage that you need. My poor little 8 terabyte hard drive, which is 8,000 gigabytes. I need another one. I just need to double up. So 8K is gonna eat the hell out of some memory cards, whatever kind it is. Have new battery or whatever, that's fine. Supposed to be at CP Plus, launching in July 2020, ahead of the Summer Olympics. What is an Olympics? Ahead of the Summer Olympics. So that should be interesting to see, because the Olympics is where it's just like it goes down, not just for the athletes, but for the camera brands as well, because those are the pictures, those are the events that last for forever. So, that being said, with all of that, and everything going on, close out because I don't need to go to no more windows. What does that mean for us? Like, okay, we've been talking about cameras. We've been, cover these new ones. I like to talk about camera gear. Yeah, I know I do. I got a problem, but I don't want no help. It's like, what does that mean for us? Well, if you don't have a camera, if you're using your phone, which is not anything bad at all. I hate, and I kind of want to do a vlog about it. Like, I hate the idea of just use your phone. Maybe it's the word just, but I want to rephrase that here on the channel and saying your phone is a great tool to do video with long term. I have my best friend. She's a YouTuber. She does like beauty stuff. She got more subscribers than me. Less videos than me, doing way better, making money from YouTube, expanding her, like just all kinds of stuff. And she uses her phone. Does live streams from a MacBook. amazing quality content. So it's not a just thing. It's like you can be a boss with your content. And I'm like amazed every time I see her stuff. She had a video post yesterday, and I'm showing my mom's like, look, mom, it's Lauren. She's doing great. Just like, yes, you're winning. And it's just like this. They got freaking 378 cameras on the back of these things now. It's just like they're giving you everything that you need. But let's say you're ready to go to a dedicated tool, and that's what I wanted to do. It's not that the phone wasn't great or whatever, or mine initially wasn't, but a dedicated tool. I want to stream. I want to have access to my phone. Maybe I want to incorporate that in as entrepreneurs and business owners. If you're doing trainings, if you're doing courses, like I have a course that I'm recording, I do not want to have to like worry about burning the crap out of my phone. I know for a fact now I've hit over 600 videos that I've done. I don't even want to count projects that I'm doing for clients and stuff like that now, because those hours are ridiculous and the amount of videos numbers are ridiculous. So it's just like when you take that into consideration, these are built to deal with the heat, the long-term use, you know what I'm saying, and all this stuff. Whereas our phones, we may be replacing this once every year. So these are great tools to use for that. But what does that mean for us? It means, which is why I did that video about how to successfully buy a used camera safely. It's not out yet, but it will be, and I'll link it in the video somewhere. So you want to buy M50, you want to buy the M6 Mark II. These cameras are about to hit the used market. Your Facebook marketplaces, your, what do you call it? Craigslist. I don't really like eBay, but it's the thing. So you'll find these cameras for stupid cheap, especially like the M50s. When I bought the second one last year, $300. $300, and it was like in the same condition as this one. And so, like, you can get lenses. Everybody's like, yeah, I'm going to get rid of all of this stuff because, like, who's this? PCP Media dropped in here. What's up? Good to see you. Glad that you are here. Said the R5 will be my next camera. Pretty sure. That's dope. Congratulations in advance. So, it's like you have cameras like that. Or people like that that's like, maybe you got an M50, maybe you tried the Sony. I don't like neither one of them. I want to switch, or I want to upgrade. I want full frame or something like that. Fantastic. But now these cameras hit the used market. So for us, whether you want to get that Fuji XT4 or the Canon R5 when it drops out, that's fine. It's going to be an amazing camera, an amazing tool that's more than enough and plenty well equipped to do the job. And I love what the brands are doing now. And the more competitive they get, the better it gets for us as entrepreneurs, as content creators, making videos so that you connect with people and go deeper with your audience and your customers, as well as reach wider with your videos. And so knowing that, whatever camera that you honestly want, I even saw, which is probably going to happen. It probably will happen within the next week, allegedly. So buying another camera, not that it's not even, I do need it. I take it back. I do need it. I need a new computer too. But the point is, a Sony a6600 that just came out for like $900 used. Why? Because the Sony a7 IV is coming out. People are trying to bank their money. Maybe they're switching brands and they're like, I want some of that Canon glass that is freaking phenomenal. We haven't even talked about lenses yet. And we do cover a lot about camera bodies and stuff and cameras in general, but it's like lenses honestly is the name of the game. And the best in the business right now is Sony. And then a close second, not even Sony, I'll take that back, Canon, their new RF line. It's better than the Sony stuff. Sony is amazing, and they was number one for a while. But the RF glass is like, as soon as this R5 drops, and then you pair that with something like their 15 to 45, like f2.8 or whatever it is, lens that they have. Yeah, they're big. It's a big, heavy camera, but it is a beast. And so you have lenses like the Fuji XT4 that are pretty incredible. It's still just like, well, maybe I really want that glass. And Fuji, like I said, they do a good job, but at the same time, it's like it's getting hard competition out here in these streets. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's like whatever you're trying to buy, whatever gear, I would definitely say get ready, because with the announcement of these Fuji XT4 with the Canon R5, it is going to make for an amazing market per se. Because again, if I wanted this XT4, what things am I getting rid of? Well, I'm getting rid of this speed booster that I spent, I think maybe is $200 or $250. Get rid of this Yongnuo lens. I'm going to get rid of the Canon M50. I'll get rid of the DJI Osmo Pocket and the Sony AC. You know what I'm saying? If I was going to do that, because I'm buying a whole new system, and these things would be worth keeping if I did want to do that. But that's a if. But if you don't want the newer cameras, that's not for you, it's not your jam, you're just like, that's overkill, that's way too much money. That Canon camera is probably going to cost $3,500. And it's just like, probably rightly so at that point. But at it's maybe the $500, $1,000, $1,500 price point, that Fuji XT4, I think is going to hit hit the nail on the head with the hammer as far as specifications. I think it's going to do an amazing job. But then too, my last tidbit and thought on this whole thing is like, are we really using this stuff for vlogging though? You know what I'm saying? Like, you put this on here, the microphone's over there. Put the microphone on top of here. You gotta get you we ain't doing Joby no more. We doing Switch Pods. I don't use a Switch Pod, but I support them. So you're doing a Switch Pod, or you're doing this, and now you vlogging and you're doing all this now to whatever, and it's dope. I support vlogging. I love vlogging. I have plenty of vlog footage that is not edited that I need to edit. But it's like, are we really switching more to this kind of stuff or this kind of stuff? I want to talk about that in a different video, because I think for a lot of us, like, this is amazing. We need it for live streams. We need it for our videos, for pictures. But I think stuff like this, the Osmo Pocket, the GoPro Hero 8 is like kind of where it's at. That's like the secret beast for vlogging, because it's just like, throw that back in your bag, throw it back in your pocket, your coat pocket, whatever, and you're good to go. And it's like $200. You know what I'm saying? So it's like $200, $300 between that and the GoPro or whatever. And you get 4K, 60, and all the rest and whatever. And some of that stuff can stream. So really interesting stuff. But that's what I'm going to leave it for this particular video. If you guys have any questions, you enjoyed what you heard, you enjoyed what you saw, make sure I was about to say leave a rating or review. That's for the podcast. This ain't the podcast. So just wanted to kind of cover some of those specs and details for the Canon R5 and then for the Fuji XT4 that just recently dropped. So I'm really excited to see where things are going to go. And for me, I'm kind of excited about the used market, because a lot of people will be offloading their gear for sure, which makes buying for us really, really dope. So as always, live with passion, and I will see y'all on the next video, which will be this week. I promise. Peace out.